My name is Leora Hayes. I'm 24 years old and I teach little kids at an elementary school in South Bend, Indiana. I love my students. Their smiles, their curious questions, and the way they try to learn something new every day give me happiness and energy. But at home things were very different. One night at midnight something really scary happened. I was in my house when suddenly a baseball bat hit the back of my neck very hard. I fell to the floor. The pain exploded in my head and my vision went blurry. I wanted to scream but no sound came out. My brother Tate was standing over me. His eyes looked dark and angry like he wanted to hurt me. I tried to grab my phone and type a message to my best friend asking for help. But before I could send it, Riker hit me again. I thought my parents would come in and stop him. I thought they would protect me. But when they came into the room something even worse happened. My mom laughed. "Stop overreacting. He's just playing," she said. My dad smiled and said, "Go back to sleep. Don't be dramatic." Then they took my phone away while its screen was still glowing with my message for help. I tried to crawl across the floor trying to stay awake, but their voices faded away. That's when I realized something terrifying. My own family, my parents and my brother, were hiding something very bad. I had to survive. I had to find the truth. Even though my head hurt and I felt weak, I made one promise to myself. I would stay alive and I would uncover what they were planning. The next morning I woke up on the cold garage floor. My neck hurt so badly that every tiny movement made it throb. But as I lay there I started remembering things from the past. I remembered why I had always felt like a stranger in my own home. I realized that living with my parents and my brother had always been difficult. I had stayed with them to save money because my teaching job didn't pay very much. Moving out wasn't an option even though I hated the tension in the house. The main problem was my brother Tate. He was 19 and in college. My parents always paid more attention to him than me. He could skip his classes, break his car or do anything wrong and my parents would just laugh. "He's figuring it out," my mom would say. If I forgot to do chores or stayed late grading papers my dad would get angry. "Get it together, Leora," he would say. Their favoritism started when I was young. At first it was small things I didn't notice. Over time it grew worse. I did have one safe place. My grandma Agatha Hayes. She lived near Notre Dame. When I was a teenager I would ride my bike to her house almost every day. We would read mystery books together, or I would help her take care of her beautiful rose garden. "You've got my spirit," she would say with a soft, happy smile. My brother never visited her. He would even call her names behind her back. Grandma noticed this. She saw that Riker was charming but he could be mean and selfish. She loved me because I cared for her and listened to her stories. When Grandma died 3 years ago she left me something very special. She left me $800,000 in her will. But there was a rule. I could not get the money until I turned 25, just a year away. She gave it to me because I had been there for her, helping her, bringing her tea, listening to her and spending time with her. I thought of it as a reward for love, not money. But my family didn't see it that way. The inheritance made everything worse. Tate became jealous and angry. At dinner he would glare at me if anyone praised my teaching. Once he tripped and knocked over my camera, breaking it. "Pie bad," he said, smirking. Another time my laptop stopped working after he used it and the screen cracked. My mom just said, "Accidents happen, Leora," in a flat voice. My dad nodded and didn't even look at me. I realized then that their favoritism was not new, but Grandma's will had made it worse. My mom started talking about money more often. "That inheritance could help us," she would say, glancing at me. My dad would hum in agreement. I overheard them arguing at night about unpaid bills. They were drowning in debt and I started to feel like they saw me as a way to get money. Tate went further. One night he cornered me in the hallway and whispered, "Why her? You don't deserve it." His words hurt me deeply. He was my brother but we were never close. Riker started playing more and more mean tricks on me. He hid my lesson plans, spilled coffee on my books and ruined my things. Each time my parents defended him. "He's under pressure," my dad said. Teaching was my safe place. My students gave me hope. They made me happy and gave me a reason to get up in the morning. But at home I was invisible. Tate's tricks became bigger and my parents' excuses became smaller. One afternoon my car keys went missing and I missed a parent-teacher meeting. Riker laughed when I confronted him. "Chill, Leora," he said, tossing my keys back. My mom heard him and just said, "Don't make a scene." One night I overheard my mom whispering to my dad. That money could save us, she said. She doesn't need it, my dad whispered back. My stomach churned. They weren't just protecting Tate, they were planning something. I realized I was not just their daughter. I was in their way. I had to escape and protect the money Grandma had left me. Even though I tried to focus on teaching during the day, the tension at home followed me everywhere. My classroom was my safe place. I could plan fun activities for my students, grade their papers and forget about the problems at home for a while. But I couldn't avoid the family stress forever. The week of my parents' anniversary party, things got worse. I couldn't skip it because they invited neighbors, coworkers, and distant relatives. I hated going because I knew Riker would try to make me miserable. When I arrived, I carried my folder of lesson plans so I could finish after the guests left. The house was full of talking and laughing people. I smiled and said hello, but Riker was already showing off, charming everyone. He caught my eye and smirked like he knew something I didn't. I tried to ignore him and set my folder on the kitchen counter. Halfway through the party, I went to check on my work. My heart sank. My folder was open, the pages were scattered, some crumpled, some stained with punch. My science lesson plans were ruined. I knew immediately who had done it. I found Riker by the dessert table laughing with a neighbor. "Did you touch my folder?" I asked quietly. He shrugged. "Maybe it fell," he said, popping a cookie into his mouth. I was so angry and sad I could barely speak. I went to my mom holding the ruined pages. "Tate ruined my lesson plans," I said. She barely looked at them. "Don't start drama tonight," she snapped. "It's our anniversary." I was shocked. I had spent weeks making these plans. "Make new ones," she said, rolling her eyes. "You're good at that." Her words stung, but what came next hurt even more. "Maybe if you weren't so focused on yourself, you'd see we're all struggling. That money from your grandma could help." Hearing her say that made me feel tiny and unimportant. She wasn't just defending Tate, she was angry at me because of the inheritance. My dad came over and said, "Kids make mistakes, Leora. Let it go." Tate noticed the tension and walked over looking very smug. "You're too sensitive," he said loud enough for the guests to hear. I wanted to shout and defend myself, but all the eyes in the room stopped me. I quietly went to my room, clutching the ruined plans, feeling hurt, angry, and betrayed. My mom's words about Grandma's money stayed in my mind. She wasn't just defending Tate. She was jealous. That money was making our family fight and it was turning them against me. I realized then that I had to be strong. I couldn't trust my family, but I had to survive. I had to protect what Grandma had left me and find a way to escape the danger that was closing in. My students, my teaching, and the promise I made to myself that night were my lifeline. I would stay alive. I would uncover the truth. And I would not let anyone, my brother or my parents, take away the future Grandma had promised me. Later, I overheard Riker talking to a cousin in the hallway. He sounded angry. "She thinks she's better than us," he said, his voice bitter and mean. "That money should be ours." My heart sank. I felt scared and hurt. My own brother, someone I had trusted and loved, saw me as a rival, as a problem. I had always thought family was supposed to protect you, but now I realized I might not be safe around my own. The party kept going. Laughter and music filled the house. People were eating cake, dancing, and talking. Everyone seemed happy. But I felt more alone than I had ever felt in my life. Talia and Dorian, the people I had thought I could count on, didn't care about me at all. They didn't care about the hard work I had done or the feelings I had or the pain I was carrying in my heart. Their eyes and words were fixed on something else, something I didn't fully understand yet but could sense was dangerous. It had to do with that inheritance my grandma had left me. I didn't know all of their plans, but the pieces were starting to fit together in my mind. Everything I had seen, Talia's cold, accusing stares, Tate's hostile attitude, Dorian acting quietly sneaky, made sense now. They didn't just dislike me. They were plotting. I felt my chest tighten. My thoughts raced. After the anniversary party ended, I felt shaken and uneasy. Tate's mean, venomous words and Talia's cold accusations kept spinning in my mind. I went to bed hoping I could rest, but sleep didn't come easily. I felt danger closing in around me like a shadow I couldn't escape. My room, usually my safe place, felt tense and scary. I could almost hear the plans forming behind the walls, the plotting that was going to hurt me in ways I couldn't even imagine yet. At midnight, everything became real and terrifying. Riker swung a baseball bat and hit me in the back of my neck. Pain shot through me like fire. I fell to the floor, my hands clutching my neck, my eyes watering. It all happened so fast. I was in shock, my brain struggling to make sense of what was happening. I tried to send an SOS to my emergency contacts, my fingers trembling, desperate for help. Even as I felt darkness creeping in, I could hear my parents laughing. "Don't overdo it," my mother Talia said. "He's just playing." Her voice was cold and it stabbed my heart. How could they laugh while I was hurt? Their mockery made the pain in my neck feel even worse, as if their laughter was another strike on top of Tate's bat. Darkness swallowed me and I thought I might never wake up. When I woke up, I was in the garage. The door was locked and the cold, cluttered space smelled of dust and old wood. My neck throbbed painfully, but I forced myself to stay alert. I needed to think. Fear was sharp, but it made me careful. I pressed my ear to the concrete wall and listened. From the kitchen, I heard Talia and Dorian talking in low, tense voices. "We've got 1 year before she turns 25, Talia hissed. "That money is our only way out," Dorian replied, his voice grim. "I'll edit the security footage. We'll say Leora attacked Tate. The trust's clause will give us the money," Talia said. My heart thumped so hard I thought they might hear it. They were planning to make it look like I had attacked Riker so they could steal the $800,000 my grandma had left me for my 25th birthday. My stomach dropped. This was not just a mean plan. It was dangerous, calculated, and cruel. Tate's attack on me was not an accident. It was the start of their plot. I had to act fast. My mind raced. Their plan explained everything I had seen. The resentment in Talia's eyes, the anger in Tate's face, the way Dorian had been quietly helping them. They saw me as a barrier to money and I couldn't let them succeed. I had to find proof before their lies buried me. The garage was full of boxes, old tools, and random clutter, but I started searching. I crawled carefully, the pain in my neck stabbing with every movement. I sifted through dusty boxes and shelves, determined to find something useful. Finally, I spotted an old laptop half buried under a pile of tools. A spark of hope shot through me. It was probably forgotten, maybe broken, but it might still work. I powered it on. The screen flickered to life and I noticed it was linked to our home security system. My heart raced faster. If the cameras had recorded Riker attacking me and Talia and Dorian hadn't deleted the footage yet, I would have had a chance to save myself. I accessed the system, my hands trembling with nervous excitement. The footage from that night was still there, timestamped just after midnight. I clicked play. My breath caught. The video showed the living room, clear and bright. Riker stood over me, bat raised, his face twisted with anger. He swung and I crumpled, clutching my neck. I tried to scream, but it barely came out. Then Talia and Dorian appeared. "Move her now," Talia said, her voice cold as ice. Dorian nodded. "Keep it quiet." The footage ended. I felt a rush of triumph. They hadn't deleted it. I quickly saved the video to a blank USB I found nearby. My hands shook with excitement. I kept digging through the laptop. I found an old email account that Grandma's lawyer had used. There was a message sent months before she passed with a document attached, her will. I opened it carefully, my heart pounding. It said that the $800,000 was for me, Leora Hayes, to receive on my 25th birthday. Grandma wanted to reward my loyalty, all the time I had spent helping her, cooking with her, gardening with her while Talia and Riker stayed distant. Then I saw the clause that made my stomach turn. If I were convicted of a violent crime like assault, the entire inheritance would go to Talia. Grandma had included this to make sure the heir was morally upright, but now it gave Talia and Dorian a perfect weapon to steal the money. Their plan was even more calculated and dangerous than I had imagined. I saved the will to the USB too. This was my lifeline. Proof. My only chance to protect myself and the money that was rightfully mine. I gripped the USB tightly, feeling my courage grow. I could fight back. I looked at the locked garage door. My hands spotted a rusty screwdriver on a workbench. I jammed it into the hinge and twisted, careful but determined. The pins loosened and the door cracked open just enough for me to slip through. I tucked the USB into my jacket, knowing it was the only defense I had. Talia and Dorian were still in the kitchen, their voices plotting quietly. "The police will believe Riker and Dorian. She has nothing," Talia said. I crept upstairs, my heart pounding in my chest. My room felt like a trap, but I had to make a plan. I hid the USB under my mattress, hoping it would stay safe. I needed to reach someone who would believe me. Micah, Aunt Celeste, anyone? Talia's voice drifted up from the kitchen. Check the garage soon. She can't talk. Time was running out. I held the truth in my hands, but their lies were closing in. I had to act fast. By morning I finally broke free from the garage. My heart raced as I slipped through the cracked door and ran across the yard to the neighbor's house. The sun was just rising, casting long, golden shadows over the quiet street. I knocked frantically on the door. Mrs. Calvin, a kind woman in her 60s, opened the door. Her eyes widened when she saw my bruised neck and terrified expression. Lyra, what's wrong? She asked, pulling me inside. I need to call 911. My family is trying to frame me, I said, my voice shaking. She handed me her phone without hesitation. I dialed 911, my voice trembling as I told the operator everything. Tate hit me with a bat last night. My parents, Talia and Dorian, locked me in the garage. They're trying to make it look like I attacked him to take my $800,000 inheritance. I have proof. The operator promised officers would arrive fast. I thanked Mrs. Calvin, but I couldn't sit still. My mind spun with what would happen next. Minutes later, police sirens wailed. 2 officers, a man and a woman, arrived at Mrs. Calvin's door. I told them everything clearly, even though my voice shook. This is serious, Officer Simon said. Do you have any evidence? I held up the USB. This video shows Riker attacking me, and the will shows why they want the money. Then my phone buzzed. I looked and saw a text from an unknown number. You attacked Tate. We have proof. Turn yourself in. My stomach dropped. The text had a video showing me hitting Tate. Another message showed me sending a mean text to him. It was fake. They were trying to trick me and make me look guilty. The officers watched me closely. That's not me, I said, my voice cracking. They're setting me up. I handed Officer Simon the USB and told him to check it first. The video played clearly. It showed Riker swinging the bat at me and Talia and Dorian moving me away. This looks real, Officer Chin said. I also showed them the will. It said I would get $800,000 from Grandma when I turned 25, but if I committed a violent crime, it would go to Talia. That's why they tried to make me look guilty. Their plan was to steal everything from me. Officer Simon nodded. We'll take this to the station and check it carefully. I sat there, trembling but a little relieved. I had proof. I had hope. I wasn't alone anymore. They couldn't lie and steal from me without consequences. I had the truth in my hands. The edited video and the messages were very scary, but I had proof that I was telling the truth. I felt a mix of relief and worry, like a balloon that might pop. They're still at the house, I whispered. They don't know I'm here. Officer Chin spoke into her radio. We're sending backup. We'll ask Talia, Dorian, and Riker some questions. I felt a little hope, but it was fragile, like a tiny candle in the wind. My parents' lies were very convincing, and I was still in danger. Mrs. Calvin, the kind neighbor who had always been nice to me, offered, "You can stay here until the police figure everything out." I thanked her softly, but I knew I couldn't hide forever. I needed to call my Aunt Celeste. She always believed me and always had a plan. I borrowed Mrs. Calvin's phone and dialed her number carefully. Leora. Celeste answered. Her voice was thick with worry. Your SOS last night. What happened? I told her everything, trying not to shake too much. I explained how Riker attacked me in the garage, the plan my parents had made, and the USB I had with proof of everything. I'm with the police now, I said. I have proof, but my parents are trying to make it look like I'm the bad one. Celeste promised to come right away from Chicago. Stay safe. Don't go back to that house, she said. Her voice was firm, like a shield around me. After I hung up, Officer Chin came back. We're heading to your house now, she said. Stay here with Mrs. Calvin. We'll need your statement later. I nodded and held my jacket tight where the USB was. It was my shield, my little piece of safety. But I knew the fight wasn't over. Talia and Dorian were clever, and Riker was very angry. I had to stay alert to protect Grandma's money and myself. A week later, I stood in court in St. Joseph County. My heart was pounding like a drum in my chest as I walked up to the witness box. The USB in my pocket felt heavy, but it made me feel safe too. The courtroom was quiet. Everyone's eyes were on me. My best friend Celeste, who had driven all the way from Chicago to help, sat at the table. She gave me a steady look that made me feel brave. I was ready to tell the truth. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Ms. Celia, called me to testify. I took a deep breath and began. My brother Riker attacked me with a baseball bat, I said clearly. My parents, Talia and Dorian, covered it up and tried to make it look like I attacked him. They wanted my inheritance of $800,000 that I will get when I turn 25. I told them about the night of the attack and how I sent an SOS to my emergency contacts. I explained how my parents laughed at me and said it was a joke. The jury listened carefully and took notes. I handed the USB to Celeste. This has security videos, I said. It shows Riker hitting me and my parents dragging me to the garage. The judge nodded and a big screen was set up. The video played. Tate's angry face, the bat swinging and me falling down. I could hear Talia's cold voice saying, "Move her now," and Dorian saying, "Keep it quiet." Gasps filled the courtroom. Celeste paused the video. "This is unedited," she said. "Experts confirm it's real." Next I showed my SOS phone records. "I sent this signal at midnight," I said, showing the phone logs. They showed that Celeste and my aunt got the message right before I lost consciousness. Celeste explained that she got my SOS and called the next morning, finding out about my parents' plan. I pulled out my journal, a small notebook I had kept for months. "This shows how they were mean to me," I said, flipping to pages where I had written about Riker being aggressive and my parents ignoring me. One entry said weeks before that Talia was thinking about the will. "She only cares about the money," I had written. Another entry showed Riker threatening me after I said no to giving him cash. The judge looked at my journal carefully. Celeste said, "These notes match the timeline of the attack and show their plan to take Leora's inheritance." Miss Celia tried to show her fake video trying to prove I hit Tate. "This is fake," I said. My dad, Dorian, admitted he had edited it. Celeste showed a report from experts proving the video was changed. The jury started to understand the truth. I explained about Grandma's inheritance. "Grandma Agatha left me $800,000 because I cared for her," I said. "My parents and Riker didn't spend time with her. She wanted me to get the money, but only if I was a good person. If I was convicted of a crime, the money would go to Talia. My parents tried to make me look bad to steal it." The jury leaned forward, paying close attention. Celeste spoke up. "The evidence is clear," she said. "The real video, SOS logs, and Leora's journal prove she's telling the truth. The prosecution's video is fake, and the texts claiming Leora threatened Riker came from a burner phone, not her. Police traced them to Dorian." The courtroom buzzed with whispers. Celeste's skill in showing the truth was amazing. The judge called a break to look at the evidence. I sat with Celeste, my nerves shaking. "You did great," she whispered. "They can't ignore this." I nodded, holding her hand. The USB, SOS, and journal were my shield, but I still worried. My parents had lied so much I feared they might try something else. When the court continued, Officer Simon, who came to my 911 call, spoke. "Leora's story matches what she told us," he said. "The fake video and texts came from Dorian." The jury looked serious. Miss Celia tried to argue, but her case fell apart under Celeste's questions. The judge finally made a decision. "There is enough evidence to charge Talia Hayes, Dorian Hayes, and Riker Hayes with assault and fraud." Police handcuffed my parents and brother. Talia was furious. Dorian looked blank. Riker muttered, "Curses." I breathed a long sigh of relief. Their plan to take Grandma's money had failed. Celeste squeezed my shoulder. "You're free," she said. I felt lighter, but I knew the fight wasn't completely over. The inheritance was safe for now, but I had to be careful until I turned 25. Justice was close and I wouldn't let it slip away. 2 weeks later, my mother started attacking me online. Talia, out on bail, posted lies on social media saying I was unstable. Her words hurt like sharp thorns. "Will Hayes has mental issues," she wrote, saying I made up the story to get Grandma's $800,000. The lies spread fast. Friends from high school unfollowed me. Neighbors I had known for years sent cold messages. "Is it true you're unhinged?" they asked. I woke up to a flood of notifications. The weight of being alone felt worse than before. At the grocery store, Mrs. Larson, who used to bake me cookies, turned away when I waved. The sadness hit me hard. I scrolled through Talia's posts. Each one felt like a knife. She said I was lying and only wanted my grandmother's money. I was 24 with 1 year left to wait for the inheritance. At school things got worse. I taught history at South Bend High and loved my students. But on Monday, Principal Andrews called me to his office. Well, parents are complaining, he said, looking serious. They're worried about your stability because of the posts. I clenched my fists and explained that Talia was lying and about the court case. He sighed. I believe you, but we have to suspend you while we investigate. My stomach sank. Teaching was my safe place and now it is gone. I left his office, my cheeks burning even though I had done nothing wrong. At home, Celeste called, her voice sharp. Talia is trying to ruin your reputation, she said. We can sue her for lying, but it will take time. I was glad for her support, but time was not on my side. The inheritance was like a light at the end of the tunnel, but Talia's attacks were trying to bury me before I could reach it. I couldn't stay in South Bend. Every look and whisper felt like judgment. I needed to go somewhere new and start over. I opened my laptop and looked for teaching jobs far from Indiana. Chicago caught my eye. Celeste lived there and it felt like a fresh start. I found a job for a history teacher at a public high school. The application asked for a resume and a cover letter. I hesitated, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. Could I leave my grandmother's legacy behind? Agatha had trusted me to protect her gift. But staying meant fighting a war I wasn't sure I could win. I thought about the students I had taught, the kids who looked at history and saw the world differently because of me. I thought about Grandma's garden, her warm hugs, and her soft voice telling me to do what was right. I thought about being brave even when everything felt scary. Finally, I began typing my application, each word a step toward a new life. Leaving wasn't easy, but I knew I needed a safe place where I could grow and protect Grandma's legacy. Chicago was far, but it was a chance to start fresh, where no one knew my name or what my parents had done. I pressed send on the application and leaned back, feeling the first spark of hope in a long time. The inheritance, the truth, and my freedom were still mine. I had to be careful, I had to be strong, and I had to keep going. I had survived the lies, the attack, and the courtroom. Now I was ready for the next part of my life, even if it was scary. I looked at the USB, my SOS records, and my journal on the table. They had been my shield before, and they would always remind me to stay brave. One day soon I would turn 25 and Grandma's gift would be completely mine. Until then, I would protect it, even if it meant moving to a new city, starting over, and facing whatever came next. The world felt heavy, but I was lighter too. I was not alone. I had Celeste. I had the truth. And most of all, I had hope. Even if people tried to lie, cheat, or hurt me, I had the power to fight back. And I would. I started writing. I am putting all my love for teaching into this letter. I wanted to inspire kids with stories about never giving up, just like my grandmother had taught me. I thought about my own hard times while I wrote. Suddenly my phone buzzed. It was a message from a number I didn't know. It said, "You'll never get that money." My heart started beating really fast. I felt scared. I thought it had to be Talia using a new phone to frighten me. I sent the message to my friend Celeste. "I will try to find out who sent it," Celeste said. "She's scared," I whispered to myself. I nodded, but my hands were shaking. Talia's lies had already taken my job and made people in my town look at me differently. What else could she take? I walked carefully to the library, trying to avoid anyone noticing me. I printed my job application and started looking at apartments in Chicago. One small apartment near the school looked like I could afford it. I imagined a new life, new kids to teach, new streets to walk on, and no one whispering behind my back. But a little worry crept in. Leaving South Bend felt like letting Talia win. It also felt like I would be leaving my grandmother's trust behind. I held the papers tightly, unsure if I should stay and fight or go and heal. That evening I met Celeste at a small diner. She handed me a legal pad full of notes. "Look," she said, "we can prove that Talia is lying online. We can stop her." I took a sip of coffee and thought about it. A lawsuit could show everyone that I was telling the truth. But it would also mean staying in South Bend, fighting more battles, and living with the memories that hurt. I wanted peace, not more fights. "I think I want to leave," I admitted quietly. Celeste's eyes softened. "I understand," she said. "But wherever you go, I will support you." Her words made me feel strong. I wasn't alone anymore. By midnight I had made my choice. I sent my application to Chicago. My heart was pounding with excitement and fear, but I felt ready. South Bend had too many painful memories. Talia's lies, Tate's violence, and Ulysses being silent. The money from my grandmother was my chance to start fresh. I couldn't wait for it in a place that didn't feel like home. I packed a small bag, ready to go to Chicago for an interview. A new life was waiting and I would write it myself. A year later, I had built a new life in Indianapolis. The city felt fresh, exciting, and safe. Nothing like the scary whispers of South Bend. I stood in my new classroom at Lincoln High, making lesson plans. My heart felt calm and steady. At 25, I had my grandmother's $800,000 inheritance. It gave me a chance to make my life better and stronger. The truth had won. Celeste's lawsuit against my mother, Talia, ended months ago. The judge said Talia's online lies about me being mentally unstable were false. He had to take them down. The news spread across town and cleared my name. My new colleagues at Lincoln High welcomed me without judging me. They didn't know my past unless I chose to tell them. The South Bend School Board even sent an apology and offered to reinstate my teaching license. But I didn't want to go back. Indianapolis was my home now. I could finally feel safe and proud. I used part of the money to start the Agatha Hayes Scholarship Fund. It was named after my grandmother and helped high school students who wanted to study history, her favorite subject. At the scholarship launch, I spoke to a small group of teachers and students. "This is for students who want to know the truth," I said, thinking of my grandmother's warm smile. She had always taught me to care about knowledge and kindness, not money. The first student to receive the scholarship was a shy girl named Freya. She cried happy tears and told me it would help her pay for college so she could study ancient civilizations. Seeing her hope made me remember why I had fought so hard. Celeste came to the event too. She was quietly strong. Later, over coffee, she told me about my family. Talia was going to jail for fraud. She had no more chances to fight. My brother Riker and my father Dorian were also in trouble for the things they had done. I didn't feel angry. They had made their choices and I had made mine. "You have built something real," Celeste said, holding my hand. I smiled and felt grateful. Teaching became my safe place. My students, some curious and some restless, challenged me every day. I made lessons about revolutions and connected them to my fight for justice. One day, a student named Elias raised his hand. "How do you know what's true when people lie?" he asked. I thought of Talia's lies, Tate's violence, and Dorian staying silent. "You look for proof," I said. "And you trust the people who are with you." Elias nodded and wrote it down carefully. Moments like that felt like small victories. Even though I had the inheritance, I lived simply. My apartment was small with one bedroom and lots of history books. I gave some money to a women's shelter, remembering when I had been scared. The rest of the money kept me safe, just like my grandmother wanted. I often thought of her, her stories, her garden, and how much she believed in me. She saw my strength even when I doubted myself. One evening, I got an email from my old boss in South Bend, Principal Andrews. He congratulated me on the scholarship and admitted he had been wrong about me. "You're doing great things," he wrote. I thanked him, feeling a little nostalgic. South Bend was a closed chapter. I learned that family is not just the people you are born with. Family is the people who choose to be there for you. Celeste, my students, and even Freya were my family. When I looked back, I realized that justice is more than winning in court. It's having courage to face lies and stand strong even when others turn away. The truth lasts even if it is quiet. Talia's lies were gone, just like my grandmother's trust in me had lasted. I had fought not only for the inheritance but also for my right to choose who I wanted to be. That was the real victory. On weekends, I volunteered at a community center and taught history workshops. One day I told a story about a woman who overcame betrayal to build something good. The teens listened carefully, not knowing it was my story. "What's the lesson?" a girl asked. I smiled. "Truth is your guide," I said. "And family is the people who help you, not the ones who hurt you." They nodded. I felt my grandmother's spirit in the room guiding me. One evening, after locking my classroom, my phone buzzed. It was Celeste with a picture of us at the scholarship launch, both smiling. "Proud of you," she wrote. I saved the picture, my heart full of happiness. The past year had been hard, but I had found a new life filled with truth, love, and hope. I had learned that even when life is scary and unfair, standing up for yourself and believing in the people who care about you can change everything.